Well, thank you very much. We have a big ruling that we're just issuing now. It's I think it's very important. It's going to lower the price of your car, and it's going to lower the price of fixing your car. Has to do with affordability, has to do with a lot of things. You know, oil prices are way down. We hit $69 today. It was higher than that prior to the denuclearization of Iran fight that we have, which we're doing very well. There'll be a meeting on that tomorrow in Doha. And they're going to Qatar. I think they've already left, or they're just about getting ready to leave. So we'll see how that goes. But we're doing very well on that front. But the meeting in Doha is going to be perhaps important, perhaps not. We're going to find out. But we're winning militarily. It's almost won militarily, I would say. And it's really very simple. It's the denuclearization of Iran. We don't want them to have a nuclear weapon, and they're not going to have a nuclear weapon. They've agreed to that, in all fairness. This is something that's very exciting to me. And if you bring the bill, and I'm going to let Lee explain exactly what it means, but it means a lot to people that own vehicles, cars in particular, but cars and anything else. It's going to save them a lot of money, and they're going to be able to do it themselves. Please.
Mr. President, this is a presidential memo to the Environmental Protection Agency, a presidential memo supporting the freedom to fix. Americans have the freedom to fix their vehicle. President Trump insists upon it. We are not going to be going after people who are fixing their own vehicle like past administrations have. Additionally, we've been concerned, President Trump has been concerned about aftermarket parts, cheap knockoff aftermarket parts coming into the United States, harming small businesses, harming Americans. This presidential memo puts an end to it. Also, the only third-party certification for these aftermarket parts, it's CARB in California, a process that's backlogged and faulty. So we're going to break that monopoly, and no longer will CARB be the only third-party certifier for these aftermarket parts. Again, President Trump is insisting on fixing it. This presidential memo does that. President Trump was calling me up on a Saturday night when this idea first came to his head, and he says he wants to do a press conference right away to get this over the top. In February 2nd, we signed a right to repair for our farmers so that they can repair their tractors and their non-road equipment, and this is covering everyone else.
I mean, think about it. It came to my attention because I noticed they were arresting people for fixing their car. They were arresting people for fixing it. That's not even believable. Anyway, so it's right to fix, and I think it's really common sense. If somebody wants to fix, some of these people are better mechanics than the mechanics in the shop. They're telling the mechanic in the shop how to fix their car or their truck. We signed a truck one a little while ago. So I'm going to sign this, and I'll be happy about it. We rule by common sense to a large extent. All right, Lee, good job. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Can you imagine that? They want to put you in jail if you fix your car. Thank you, man. Do you have any questions?
Mr. President, what do you make of the Supreme Court ruling today in regards to the mail-in ballots, and what comes next for the SAVE Act after today's ruling?
Well, because of the mail-in ballot ruling, which was a little bit surprising, gives people more time to vote illegally, let's say. But the SAVE Act is even more important, and that's the right. You have to be a citizen of our country. Okay, you have to show you're a citizen of our country, called citizenship. Voter ID by photo voter ID, and no mail-in ballots unless you're in the military, disabled, you're ill, or you're away, or even on a vacation. We're being very open about it. It's pretty easy. And we'll have honest elections. But the ruling, which a lot of people were waiting for, that was a ruling that was, I think it was very detrimental to honest elections. But it is what it is. Basically, they're keeping it a little bit the way it is now. They may have a little bit of a restriction on based on the wording.
About firing the parliamentarian. And
then you have the very important one, the Slaughter case, which we'll talk about if you ask that question. But the parliamentarian What were you asking about?
Yeah, have you talked with Thune about?
I have. No, I can't imagine why you'd keep a woman that was put there by Harry Reid and Barack Hussein Obama. I cannot understand it. The leader has the right to fire the person at will and put somebody else there. That would be, because we get so many negative rulings from her, the parliamentarian. She's been there for years, and she was put there by Harry Reid and Barack Hussein Obama. Harry Reid was a bad guy, and he was the leader, and he put her. And the speaker has the right to immediately fire her and put somebody else there. And it's not even believable that she's still there. She's obviously a good politician or something.
Mr. President, question on the Slaughter case. The Supreme Court just affirmed your right to fire the heads of independent agencies. Should we expect more firings as a result of this ruling?
I don't think so. It gives me the right, and not me, it gives a president the right to do what the president should have the right to do. And it's very interesting. It's a big ruling. It's been going on for almost 100 years. They've been working on this, and that it comes down at my term is a very great honor. But it bestows additional powers, or maybe the same power, on the president. The president has the right to do this, and that has to do with a lot of agencies all throughout the system. So it's considered, the biggest of the group. And I can understand that this has been going on for almost 100 years. They've been waiting for this decision. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. President. You were posting about how important it is to get the Save America Act passed. Who do you see as the biggest hurdle to getting this across the finish line?
Well, it's held up in the Senate. And frankly, if you terminated the filibuster, you just need 50 votes, and we have 53. And then you have JD. So the Democrats are going to terminate the filibuster. But if you did reconciliation, you could do it with 50 votes. I mean, the best would be to terminate the filibuster, but for some reason. But you have the same basic people. But even Rand Paul is in favor of the Save America Act, if you can believe it. Think of it. Rand Paul is strongly in favor. He's fighting for it. So that's good news. But you would have Lisa Murkowski always against things like this. Nobody knows why. I think I know why. But you have Lisa Murkowski, you have Susan Collins, you have Tillis is against, and he's not in office because of me, so he holds me, because I wouldn't endorse him. I think you have Senator Cassidy against it, too.
I think he supports it this time.
And I think you have Mitch McConnell against it, too. Mitch McConnell, who's very disloyal to John Thune. John Thune was a very good person for him. I mean, he was a very loyal person, and Mitch McConnell's against him almost all the time because he's angry, I guess, probably at me.
Mr. President?
Yeah, please.
What about Democrats, Mr. President? Are there any you could think you could change their minds?
The Democrats should do it too. I mean, you'll probably get one Democrat who's a common sense Democrat. You know who that is, and everybody should vote for this. This is the Save America Act. Voter ID with photo, ideally, but voter ID, proof of citizenship, and no mail-in ballots, which is, to my way of thinking, maybe the most important of all because it's so corrupt. But you have exceptions if you're away, exceptions for the military, they're deployed, exception, illness, disability, you have exceptions, strong exceptions. But the cheating on the ballots, the mail-in ballots, Jimmy Carter said it a long time ago. He said you can't have mail-in ballots. He headed up a committee with Scoop Jackson and others, all respected. And he actually, I think it was Jimmy Carter's finest moment, not doing president, but he headed up a committee and he said he came out with a strong conclusion that if you do mail-in ballots, there's going to be cheating. France gave it up. We're the only country in the world that does this type of mail-in ballot. There's no other country in the world. You know why? They tried it, and it was totally dishonest. And it's really dishonest. So we shouldn't do mail-in ballots. So it's not too much to ask for voter ID, proof of citizenship, and no mail-in ballots. And you have honest elections.
What are your plans for the housing bill, Mr. President?
I don't know. I think it's so unimportant by compared to the Save America Act. I think the Save America Act is exactly what it says. It's saving America from crooked elections. And the housing bill is a bill that can get approved. They worked on it long and hard. It's very bipartisan. That means the Democrats like it. I think it's maybe even It's probably maybe more that way they're getting things that I wouldn't necessarily agree to. Nobody knows more than housing in the history of the presidency. Nobody did well like me in housing. I made a lot of money. I made a lot of money with housing. But when I look at that bill, it's a bill. But when I look at the Save America Act, it's about saving America. And I'd like to have the Save America Act added on. That's probably not going to happen because we have 4 Republican senators, maybe 5, that just won't vote for it. It's crazy. Somebody, Lisa Murkowski from Alaska. Nobody's done more for Alaska than me. She's Trump deranged. What can I tell you? But those 4 or 5 people that I mentioned should vote. How do you vote against Save America? How do you vote against it? How do you vote against voter identification or proof of citizenship? The only people that would vote against that are people that are going to cheat in an election. The Democrats need it because their policy is so bad. They want open borders. They want high taxes. They want terrible medical, anything medical. I'm the one that did favored nations. I'm reducing drug prices by 200, 300, 400%. Nobody even talks about it. The news doesn't talk about it. The Democrats are opposed to it. If they get into office, they'll put it back. Your drug prices are going to go up by 200, 300, 400, 500%. You know that.
But will you sign that housing bill?
I have not. It hasn't been sent to me yet. It's coming, I understand. And then I'll make it. Here's what I would like to sign. Much more than a bill, that big deal. It's a yawn. Some people say it's wonderful. To me, compared to the Save America Act, just about everything is a big yawn.
And Mr. President, on birthright citizenship.
Birthright citizenship is next. What are your thoughts? Birthright citizenship. What are your thoughts, and will you accept it if it rules against you?
Well, I guess I have to accept it's the Supreme Court, so I'll accept. I think it's very bad for our nation. We're the only nation that does it. No other nation does that birthright citizenship. No, not even close. Some did it, they ended it. It's tremendously destructive. It's extremely costly. I don't know, it's up to them. But in terms of for the good of the country, it would be great if they didn't allow it. It would be great. But I can't tell you. The Slaughter case was the big case today. That was really a big case because it gave strength to presidents and strength to the presidency, a very important case. It's been going on for almost 100 years, think of that, and this was the ruling that really topped everything by a lot today, yeah.
Mr. President, Zohran Mamdani said in an interview this week that he was open to being the poster child for socialist candidates. Are you worried about more socialist candidates across the United States?
Well, I think it's a big threat to our nation, actually, because it's not socialism, it's really communism. They use the word social democrat because it sounds so nice, but it's really communism you're talking about. I think it's the biggest threat to our nation there is, maybe since our founding. That includes World War I, World War II, September 11th. It includes the Pearl Harbor attack. I think this is the biggest threat to our nation. People will smile when I say that, but the smart people are going to say, he's probably right. It's basically introducing communism into the United States of America. There's never been anything so dangerous. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, President. Thank you, guys. Thank you all.
Good afternoon. I listened to that, and I want you to understand, in the last 15 seconds, he said the word communist 3 times. 3 times he said that. Why is that important? Well, like he also said, he wants to talk to smart people. So I know what's going to happen today. I already know. There are going to be some pissed off people in the chat. SV, Roaring Rage, Beth, Severo, you got your work cut out for you because I might not make too many friends today. Over the weekend, which is why I took yesterday off, I realized what I needed to do was to change my outlook on things and to stop worrying about whiners. I'm no longer interested in carrying people on my back. I don't want people being carried on SV's back or Beth or Roaring Rage or whoever. We are in a situation right now, as President Trump just said, people need to get smart. People need to understand what the hell is going on. And at this point, there are so many people who are loving the idea of getting clicks and likes that they're just giving you so much pablum. So I just want to let you know today, right now, if I can click the damn button. Yeah, I got to sound a warning. I know SV hates that. I have to sound a warning because I'm over it. And I want strong people. I want smart people to understand. Let's challenge each other with thought. And as I'm going to go through some things today to challenge you, to make you think, you're going to have to trust the one guy that most of us here voted for. That man. Because all of the people freaking out today, you have to understand at this point, this man is a showman. He's got plans we don't even know, but we can kind of follow if you use your noggin and stop letting people pablomize you, give you crap. I mean, I posted this earlier, and I said, I'm struggling to understand why the SCOTUS decision on mail-in ballots is a bad thing. Someone want to actually explain it based upon the law? Nope. Nobody could explain why they're all pissed off today. All of a sudden, everybody thinks this is the worst thing ever. Well, you're going to learn some things. You may challenge me on some things. I'm going to challenge you on some things and understand exactly what we're talking about and exactly what the Supreme Court was talking about and what President Trump probably has up his sleeve and what the Democrats are trying to do to counter what he has up his sleeve. You got served an appetizer today and probably didn't realize it. You probably didn't realize what exactly happened. Love him, hate him, whatever. One of the people I had a problem with that posted something. I'm just going to say this. I don't mean anything negative to this particular person other than the fact of, come on, bro. Our dear friend Benny posted this. It said, let me get this straight. If I'm not allowed to walk into a ballot station and vote after Election Day, why should mail-in ballots be allowed to arrive and be counted after the fact? Well, see, right there, if you just stopped right there, you can realize at that point that the premise of what was said is completely wrong. The people who mailed in their ballots, whoever they may be, assuming they're real people, wink, wink, the people who mailed in their ballots did do it before the Election Day. So no, they didn't walk in on, if Election Day was on Tuesday, they didn't walk in on Thursday and give anybody their vote, like you're intimating in that first paragraph. The premise is completely off. The people, assuming they are real people, which is a big assumption, the people mailed in their ballots. The person who's effing everything up is the state of California, who's delaying and waiting to count it. See, that's where I think a lot of people had a complete disconnect here. It's not the people voting by mail, it's the people accepting it and then indeed counting them. So it's not the same. Do people not realize how backward that is? I realize your statement is backwards. Justice Barrett and Roberts clearly don't. Their decision will enable fraudsters. Americans deserve to know the results on election night. Wait, that's a conflation. That is, if you don't know, go look up that word. That is a complete conflation. The mail-in ballots, the person counting them, and the entitlement we all have of wanting to know results on election night are completely different. You cannot conflate those. And it says the Save America Act needs to be passed before it's too late, and that is something I 100% agree with. I am not denying. I'm not looking away. I believe the Save America Act indeed should be passed and as expeditiously as possible. What I want to do, and I want to focus with you, is where's the fraud? And so I'm gonna take a break here and get into our show, but I want you to be thinking for a second. Yes, as Justice Alito said today, which I think I do have as well, in the decision of the dissent. This was, can you see that? Yeah. This was the decision, and in his dissent, way at the bottom, down here, he talks about how it can be construed and how it could enable further fraud. Right, here it is. Finally, you guys can see this. Read this. Finally, today's decision leaves open opportunities for voter fraud that may further undermine Americans' faith in the integrity of the country's elections. Diverse sources have recognized that mail-in ballots increase the potential for fraud. In 2005, a committee chaired by former President Jimmy Carter, who President Trump just referenced, and former Secretary of State James Baker found that absentee voting was the largest source of potential voter fraud in American elections. Do you see what he just did there? He went from mail-in ballots to absentee ballots as well. Those are two different items. Absentee ballots, military, people sick, like President Trump said, and mail-in ballots. Those are two different things. And I don't think he was doing it as a mistake. I think he was letting people know, as President Trump did too, about what Jimmy Carter and what James Baker talked about. The largest, okay, let me just show it to you again. And he put it in quotation marks, the largest source of potential voter fraud. Who's committing the fraud? I'm going to leave you at that. I'm going to come back to it. You can write it down, but I want to ask you, who would be committing the fraud? Because that's something that people have left out of today when they're screaming and hair on fire, is try to figure out who exactly is committing the fraud. Is it the person putting the ballot in the mail? Is it the person getting the ballot and throwing it away or doing something or waiting a week to count it? Who exactly is committing the fraud? Because that's the first part of this entire equation you have to dial back to, which I'm going to show you. You can see it. Where did I highlight that? Right there. The largest source of potential voter fraud in American elections. I'm not twisting words. I am reading specifically what an extremely intelligent Supreme Court justice, who I admire greatly, wrote. What you're not doing, I shouldn't say that, what a lot of people aren't doing, they're not examining where's the fraud. And if there's fraud, how do we stop the fraud? Are they letting illegals send in mail-in ballots? Where's the fraud? How is it happening? Because that is what we need to drill down on. Yes, I'd love to see all the mail-in ballots go away. Let's go away. But that's not going to happen either, as based so far. So I want you to hear this as we count down and get into the actual show. Listen to this.
President Trump, there were a number of SCOTUS decisions today that we're going to go through. He called one of them a tremendous loss. In little more than 4 months before the midterms, this one decided control, that will decide control of Congress, I should say. The Supreme Court ruled that states can count mail-in ballots that arrive after Election Day if they are postmarked before Election Day, and that rejected a Republican challenge to a Mississippi law, was the specific case that the court was ruling on here. Now, the president posted on Truth Social.
Okay, real quick. Sorry, Martha, had to interrupt you. My timer is going to be off, but I think that was very important. Oh, it's not letting me pause. Let me just get back into it.
Disability, military deployment, or travel. Karl Rove is standing by with his take on the political impact of these decisions. But first to Fox News Sunday anchor and our chief legal correspondent, very busy today, Shannon Bream, reporting live from the Supreme Court, where the president also scored a very significant win that many presidents have wanted for quite some time. Hi, Shannon.
Hey, Martha, you're exactly right. So that big win the president is celebrating is what allows him to have the authority to dismiss, in this case, a member of the Federal Trade Commission. But that impacts a lot of other federal agencies. Writing for the majority, the Chief Justice John Roberts said this. He says, to discharge the duties of his trust, the president must have the assistance of officers he can trust. Neither Congress nor the courts may saddle him with those with whom he cannot work. Now, dissenting in the case, Justice Sotomayor said this. She warns the result is a president who emerges after this decision now with far greater power than ever before. But the court did rein in the president's authority to dismiss Fed Board Governor Lisa Cook. They view the Fed differently, at least in the way that the president attempted to do it here via a letter posted on social media based on allegations of mortgage fraud that predate her appointment to the board. A majority of the justices finding that Cook deserved both notice and a chance to respond. They say short of that due process, the majority writes this, to allow them to do so, the president to remove a member of the Federal Reserve Board. He could do it at any time for any reason without any notice before and without any judicial check after. Now, Cook celebrated this win as a win for the independence of the Fed. The court didn't say the president cannot dismiss her, just not the way this went down. And the president has put out on social media they're going to go after this again, likely within the contours of what the court laid out. You mentioned the decision that allows states also to count ballots after Election Day. A loss there for Republicans who challenged it tomorrow, the final day. Birthright citizenship and biologically born males banned from female sports. We'll finally get the court's decision, 10 a.m. Eastern, Martha.
A lot of very significant decisions. Shannon, thank you so much. Shannon Bream at the Supreme Court as usual. With that, we bring in Karl Rove, former White House Deputy Chief of Staff for President George W. Bush and a Fox News contributor. Karl, great to have you with us today. You know, I want to at first get your reaction to the significance of what's being called the Slaughter decision, because presidents going all the way back to the Bush administration, where you served, wanted to rein in the ability of administrative agencies external to the electoral process that, can regulate companies, can crack down on individuals and businesses. I just want to put this up on the screen so people get a sense of how many agencies there are that are, sort of self-governed and independent. So before FDR took office, we had 10 to 15, small handful of these federal agencies. Now there are 448 of them. And this decision is going to really allow the executive branch to determine the fate of them in many ways. So, Karl, just wanted to lay that out there. But your reaction to the Slaughter decision today?
Well, remember what the Slaughter decision is about is, does a president who is charged under the Constitution with the executive authority have a right to have officials exercising his power as president in lieu of him who represent his views? And the court held that the president does have such a right. Before, it was limited. If you came into office and you had one of these 448 agencies and its membership of the board of that agency was made by your predecessor, you could only remove people for cause or wait for their term to come up to an end. And now, under this decision, a president, when an agency is exercising his power as president, he has a right to name the people who run that agency. Now, having said that, future presidents ought to be careful, because many of these are required to be confirmed by Congress. So you don't want to come in and remove everybody all at once and then have the job of working those confirmation hearings through the Senate and getting those people approved, because it is a huge burden, particularly on a new administration. But yes, this is affirming that if you got the responsibility to be the president, you ought to have the power to act as the president and not be constrained by people who are appointed by your
we've seen
predecessor.
just such a tremendous expansion of the administrative state and bureaucracy. 400 and something agencies that have been created, and there is the possibility of slimming those down and making them more efficient. In some cases, you have 3 or 4 agencies that handle salmon, upstream salmon in one and downstream salmon in another. I mean, I think it has become very overextended. But Justice Sotomayor was furious during this decision, the reading of this opinion on this, and she criticized the court for extending what she called a maximalist view of presidential power, and extended, according to reporting, a look to Chief Justice Roberts, who delivered the majority opinion, and he did not meet her gaze. So clearly there was a lot of dissent on reining in the administrative state in this decision, Carl.
Yeah, well, the court is charged with applying the Constitution. And where in the Constitution does it say that we have agencies that are created by Congress, appointed by the president, who thereafter are independent of both Congress and the president? To the degree that they're responsible to anything, it's the Congress that applies the budget, has to approve their budget. But no, this is, I think, restoring the constitutional structure as envisioned by the founders. Now, should this lead us to a place where Congress is more prescriptive in how it determines that things are going to be executed? I would hope so. But a big win for the Constitution today.
Very quickly, Carl, I do want to ask you about the Mississippi decision, and we're going to put up on the screen how long some states allow ballots that are postmarked pre-election day to come in and be counted. Washington, 21 days, Illinois, 10 days, 14 days rather, Alaska, 10 days. It's kind of a Pony Express process here to expect these, to come in a timely manner. Quick reaction to this part of the decision that clearly the president says means that we need to pass the SAVE Act, in his opinion, your opinion.
Yeah, well, the Constitution again says states are in charge of setting up the rules for the execution of elections in their states. Do I like it that in California it takes 21 days to count the ballots? No, but that's a problem for California. This is where the founders again said we want the rules to be set by the states, and I think that's the way it ought to be. Yeah. Let's criticize California. Let's not dictate from Washington the answer for every state. Yeah, and it would Californians may like to have a more efficient process. They need to vote for that in their legislature and clean up their own system that also allows, just massive amounts of ballots to go to every ever registered person anywhere in the state, whether they still live there or not. It's I think, justifiably an unusual system.
See that little bit at the end that Karl Rove, who I'm not a big fan of, but I understand, and I'm trying to impart on you, is that the Supreme Court actually got it right. The federal government can't tell the state to do this or do that. It's up to the individual states. Just like down here, we have open carry and we can do other things, and the federal government can't tell us not to. However, that doesn't take away from the fact that some of these states are completely screwed up. But you're not hearing or not understanding the full story, and I'm not going to be condescending. I'm just going to tell you some opinion and then a lot of fact. The headlines say Trump wins in regards to the FTC commissioner, but that's a very tiny sliver of the story. In fact, you heard Sotomayor went ballistic. She tried to go after John Roberts. Now is when you have to think to yourself, why? Why did that catch her make her so mad? Pissed her off. I don't know. Wait, let's be. Since 1935, a Supreme Court case, let's talk about that one first, called Humphrey's Executor, has been the legal wall that protected every so-called independent agency from real presidential control. I'm going to tell you right now, I'll rewrite that completely. What it has done is protected the deep state. And so today's ruling in terms of the FTC, it destroyed the deep state. Those 448 agencies that she just spoke of, and you wouldn't even believe some of the names, are now going to be destroyed. Consumer protection, labor relations, securities regulation, all of them. At will, he can say, you're out, and my guy is in. That wall that they had put in place for 90 frickin' years went away today. And here's what nobody on the left wants to say out loud, and too many people on the right aren't realizing, that the Democrats spent the last possibly 4 years, maybe 8, packing those agencies before Biden left, all those different commissions with people specifically chosen to block President Trump's agenda from inside the executive branch. Our enemies are from within. That was their resistance. That is the essence of the deep state. All those agencies. I don't give a shit about mail-in ballots right now. We got something much bigger to fry. We are watching in real time the absolute destruction of the deep state. And that's why they're freaking out. That's why Sotomayor, because that's the reason she was put there. Rebecca Kelly Slaughter was one of the ones they put in there. She got fired in March of 2025. She sued, and today she lost, and the FTC is just the first domino. Now think about the National Labor Relations Board, the SEC, the Security and Exchange Commission, the EEOC. Every commission that wields real executive power now falls under the same logic the court just applied. Now let me just give you a quick little bridge for some of you who are pissed off at the mail-in ballots. If you notice what today's decision said, that these ballots that they count and take 3-4 weeks to count have to be postmarked by Election Day. But that's only 30 to 40% of the vote in California. What it didn't address, and didn't address whatsoever, was this ballot stuffing, which is the big problem. These are mail-in ballots. Somebody actually goes to the post office, puts this thing in the post office box, gets it postmarked, and then California does whatever they do. Who do you think runs a post office? Think about it right now. The post office is a government agency. The post office has people there that work and were on these boards and everything that now can be replaced. I don't think enough people realize that today. One of the other things is, did you know what President Trump did? I gotta say at this point, expecting this to happen. Because I'm sure he's surrounded by a brain trust and they game things out in the war room. What do we do if this happens? What do we do if this happens? Okay, this may happen. What do we do? I'm going to come back to that in a second because I'm wondering if you thought about that. And the Federal Reserve, which everyone's freaking out about Lisa Cook, they didn't say he couldn't fire her. They said you can't fire her while the litigation is pending. Nobody looked into that. Remember, she sued President Trump or the U.S. government for trying to fire her. Right now, there's litigation. We can't judge this yet until litigation is over. Nobody talked about that. But now that's under President Trump's control once they solve whatever she's going to do. And Bill Pulte, he gave Bill Pulte, who's now running the NSI, DNI, he posted this. As I've repeatedly said, I believe Lisa Cook will be indicted for mortgage fraud. Big picture, warning, there's stuff going on that most people don't even pay attention to. And I'm going to show you more. It's going to freak you out. You see, these so-called independent agencies, Federal Reserve, FTC, EEOC, were supposedly independent. They were never independent. They were controlled by the deep state. Today, the Supreme Court threw that away. Now, let me slow down and explain this to you because I want you to get this because I'm pretty sure nobody else is going to show you this. I can almost put money on it right now. I'm like, I bet you haven't seen this. These agencies were sold to the American people as being neutral, above politics. They're protecting the consumers and the working class. But what they really became was a fourth branch of government, completely unaccountable, answerable to nobody, not the voters, not the president. They call them lifetimers. They've been there forever. They're bureaucrats. No more. During the Biden years, the left loaded them up with all kinds of activists and bureaucrats who hated deregulation, hated energy production, hated American manufacturing coming back. They were there to fight Trump, even if he won again. That was the plan. Have your landmines in place. Slaughter, the woman who got fired, was part of that plan. She stayed on to slow walk to push radical policies to make sure President Trump's agenda hit roadblocks from day one. President Trump fired her. She ran to the court, crying precedent. The lower courts tried to stop him. Today, the Supreme Court said no. The Constitution is clear. We got to take our medicine. If the Constitution allows him to get rid of these bureaucrats, then that same Constitution, which they're looking at, is saying, hey, hold off. You can't do this with the mail-in ballots this way. By the way, do you know who the case was today? Was it President Trump? Was it the U.S. government? Were they the people, the plaintiff in it? No, this was a Mississippi case. So I want you to see. So as of today, now all of a sudden you know the executive power belongs to President Trump. Actually, it belongs to any president. That's the first thing I got to tell you. So now President Trump, as he just said in that little 13-minute meeting, he goes, no, it's not my power. My power hasn't enlarged. The office of the president has enlarged. What's the meaning? Why do you care about that? Because he knows somebody following him who may be unscrupulous could do a lot of bad damage. And so if he knows, like I know, like you now know, you want to really make sure that there's nobody bad taken off. Can you imagine a Zoran Mandami as president, or an AOC, or any of these people? He knows that. You now know that. This is a presidential power grab, and it doesn't matter who's sitting in that seat. So President Trump knows this. He absolutely just said it to you. It's anybody who's sitting here. So if he knows they've tried to kill him, they tried to sue him, they tried to take his property, they went through Melania's underwear drawer, they tried to put him in jail, they still want to do this and do that to him. And every single Democrat is making no bones about, if we get back in power, we're going to impeach. We're going to do. He knows. And the funny thing is, you know all of this. And because you know all of this, you have to take a step back and realize, oh, he's played this in his head. He understands where this is going. So why are you surprised when it seems like he looks calm? Because you have to play the entire board. So let me show you something about this board here, because this is where it gets really good. President Trump posted today, and this is what he said about it. In light of the tremendous loss in the Supreme Court today concerning voter rights and the fact that people's votes are allowed to be counted long after an election is over, it is more important than ever to pass the Save America Act, which all voters must show photo ID, all voters must show proof of citizenship, no mail-in ballots at all is what he wants, and I'd love to see that. There is no excuse for a politician or anybody else to be against these three requirements. There's only one reason to oppose: cheating. The House of Representatives has approved it. The Senate hasn't done it. House done it 3 times. Let's see here. Our country, one more day. This is the big one. In a time where there are powerful communist movement taking place in our country, one more dangerous than World War I, World War II, Pearl Harbor, or September 11th, all Democrats and our 5 stupid Republicans, we must vote to save our country. There can be no more excuses. Thank you for your attention to this matter. He mentioned, what did communists just have to come in here as he was talking about the Save America Act? Because as many people know, and he labeled them 3 times communist, there is a act on the books right now called the Communist Control Act. See where the puck is going here. All right, so he said that. All right, let me just show you something else. And hopefully, I'm hurrying because I have an interview at 5 o'clock. I may have to come back and touch back on this. Did you know, or do you know anything about Executive Order 14399. I often tell you, watch what gets posted on whitehouse.gov because those are often breadcrumbs that people aren't paying attention to. And let me see if I can put this up. It's a big thing. I do have a summary by Grok, but I just want to prove to you that this is correct. This is, hold on, it just shrunk. Here we go. This is Executive Order 14399, ensuring citizenship verification and integrity in federal elections. Notice the date. This was signed on March 31st, 2026. And I'll let you spend the time to go read through all this. And it'll tell you like everything it says. It's very, relatively long. But what I'd rather do is show you Grok's very nice summation of this with the questions that I asked. So here are the questions that I asked. I'm not going to play around. I'm just going to show you exactly how I phrase this. All right. My first question, please analyze Executive Order 14399. Executive Order titled Ensuring Citizenship Verification and Integrity was signed by President Donald Trump on March 31st, 2026. It directs federal agencies, primarily DHS, SSA, DOJ, and USPS. Read it. He directs the agencies, DHS, SSA, DOJ, and USPS, which is the United States Postal Service, to take steps aimed at verifying U.S. citizenship for federal election voters and strengthening controls over mail-in and absentee ballots. Did you know that? I bet you didn't. I bet you nobody told you that. Oh, really? So you're telling me President Trump on March 31st wrote this thing and said, hey, I want these agencies to go, do what you got to do. By the way, now I control all these agencies, even if they've got bureaucrats in them that aren't doing what I want. See, today's FTC ruling gives him control over all the agencies, which some of them are now involved in executing on this order. But if you didn't know he wrote this on March 31st, you probably have no idea. But here's where it gets really interesting. And you can do your own thing here. It goes through all of this. The list draws. It tells you what you have to do. The Attorney General must prioritize investigations and prosecution. And then it gets down here to Section 3. The Postal Service rulemaking on mail-in and absentee ballots. The Postmaster General must initiate a notice of proposed rulemaking within 60 days of the signing of this order to establish uniform standards for mail-in ballots transmitted by the mail. See, I couldn't write this movie. I could not write this movie. It's like he wrote the sequel before the movie came out. We saw the movie play today. Hey, Mississippi, they're gonna do all this other stuff. They're gonna take 20 days. Okay, no, that sucks. It's the worst thing ever. Oh my God, it's a tremendous loss. But it has to be postmarked. Do you know what the penalty is for fraudulently applying a postmark? Who's going to do that? Who in California is somebody going to sit there with a stamp and fraudulently make postmarks? Or is President Trump already writing an executive order saying, here's how we're going to verify these postmarks? Oh, we got this covered. We know that some of you guys are criminals. So we're going to go ahead and make it so that there's all kinds of things here. The Office of Election, markings, and unique intelligent mail barcodes for successor technology on ballot envelopes for tracking. Envelope designs review for compliance. Oh my God, what do you mean? Why are you freaking out? I feel like you guys aren't understanding the moves on this chessboard. And too many people won't take the time to explain it to you. Let's continue with this because it gets even better. This movie blows you away. All right, so it goes through all this. The states may notify this. The U.S. must coordinate and everything else. Implementation, coordination. Sounds great, right? All right, so then it gets down here. And you can read all this and ask yourself, and this is what it gets funny. This is where it gets really good. June, right now, a federal judge in Massachusetts blocked parts of the order related to the U.S. SPS restrictions. Huh? Just now? A couple days before the Supreme Court ruling comes out? Here, let me see if I put it down here. Okay, yeah. I said, I repeated it. As a federal judge did this, but what were the parts? And look at the date of her ruling. Today is June 28th. 3 days ago, 3 days before the Supreme Court ruling came out, the Judge Talawani, who's been doing all kinds of crazy stuff, she went and said, no, you can't do it. A nationwide injunction from a judge in Massachusetts. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, that just happened 3 days before the Supreme Court ruled. Coincidences? I've told you about coincidences. So she says, state of California, she graded the plan of states, 23 states and D.C., motion for summary judgment on key claims and yada, 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 that was going to affect the midterm. So she jumps in 3 days ago and she issues this ruling. Nope, you can't use this new executive order. But here's the question I asked Brock at the bottom here, and this is what really important. Was Executive Order 14399 mentioned in today's Supreme Court ruling on mail-in ballots? No. Executive Order 14399 was not mentioned in today's Supreme Court ruling on mail-in ballots. The Supreme Court upheld states' authority, which is what they did with the Mississippi case. But what's going to happen is now this will be, and it's down here somewhere. Yeah, down here. The Supreme Court, they talk about the appeal. Now this will go back in, and now there will be an appeal through the circuit court back up to the Supreme Court before the election. So it's just out there in limbo. Nobody has done anything further. And this time, the government is a plaintiff. This time, the government has complete standing to go in and do all this stuff. Where is it? Let me just make sure I have that for you so you can see it here, where it says likely to go before the Supreme Court. Let's see, it's in here somewhere, but you can read it anyway. So there was an executive order put place in March to go after the mail-in ballots from a governmental perspective, not a state. It involved all those agencies, which now he personally controls as the president. And 3 days ago, 3 days before the Supreme Court ruled, this judge in Massachusetts said, no, you can't do it. And it's nothing to do with what happened today. And this man in the White House knows completely what's going on with it. So I try to put stuff together so you can go verify and look up yourself and pull these executive orders. I mean, if you actually want to read through the entire executive order, where'd I put it? It's here on the website, on whitehouse.gov, and that's the actual executive order, and you can see the date of it as well. So am I upset about today's ruling? No, because getting upset on today's ruling is like walking out of a movie during intermission. You've seen the headlines. Big banks are predicting gold could climb over $6,000 an ounce, with silver going as high as $300 an ounce. The news is finally catching up to what I've known for years. The value of the dollar is under assault, and the demand for gold and silver is absolutely exploding. But who you trust matters just as much as what you buy. That's why I trust Lear Capital. They're an education-first company that prioritizes customer experience over a quick sale. And because of that, Lear has thousands of satisfied customers, over $3 billion in trusted transactions, and was named the best overall gold IRA company by Consumer Affairs. If you're considering gold and silver, call the best in the business and the company Robin and I personally trust, that being Lear Capital. Call today for your free investor kit and ask how you can qualify for up to $20,000 in bonus gold. Call 800-601-5430, or as you see on the screen, go to learberry.com. Well, that was kind of refreshing. Oh my God!
All right,
I cannot,
interesting.
I cannot believe some of the stuff he's had to endure. I mean, like one of those things would have me go into a psychiatrist and probably living in a rubber room or something. But hence that's a crazy life, crazy life.
I actually I've been to South Africa several times in the late '90s. I traveled from Port Elizabeth all the way across to Cape Town. They have the steering wheel on the other side, and they drive on the wrong side of the road, so everything was back asswards. But it was interesting. But yes, there one thing you notice right away is how a lot of all the homes have burglar bars on the windows. You know, beautiful homes, but you see it's like they're in a prison.
How long ago did you go?
That was in the late '90s.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wouldn't go there now. I bet you get a cheap room someplace, but I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't go.
I mean, the rand was like
I wouldn't go.
Yeah. Well, their rand, their monetary value was like 10-1, so things were cheap for me. But another thing I would not do is go swimming because the great white sharks are pretty prevalent out there, you know, around Cape Town and stuff.
Yeah,
so,
big ones
you don't want to
too.
go swimming in there. Yep.
I'm looking at this text you sent me, and it says, I don't understand. I'm not going to embarrass this person, but when you ignore fact and stick with your opinion, then I can't talk to you. There's nothing to say. And that's the problem with a lot of people on our side is they're so set in their opinion that they don't like being disrupted by actual fact. And, you know, this gentleman, after seeing the Supreme Court ruling today, came back and said, I can't. I'm not going to go there anymore. All right. So what you got?
Let's see.
Which one?
Well, I had that. Well, first, there's a couple there on the bottom. They're all connected together. But basically, there was a target explosion in Monaco. Some suspect who's on the loose dropped off a backpack near a hotel. So
that one? Is that the one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, that's allegedly a picture of him. It's hard to tell what type of person he is, but it critically injured several people. It blew up in the front of the building, so it's still very active at this moment.
Monaco,
still searching for him.
What?
Yeah,
Monaco.
I mean that's a high end area. They're messing with people's money over there, bro.
Yeah, I mean, that's specifically the French Riviera, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's kind of scary. Don't mention your judge story yet.
No.
I got that.
No, I'm letting that one go. I thought that was pretty cool. What about the clandestine? I was going to, before the interview, I thought it would have been a perfect dovetail because he was talking about the, what do you call it? Bringing it up here, the Slaughter decision. I thought it would have had a perfect bookend to what you were talking about before you went to the interview. So
sure, go
is
ahead.
it too late for that?
No,
okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, our boy Clandestine. I mean, I'm telling you, Barry and Clandestine, I think they're talking to each other. I don't know. I mean, they're probably on text. Anyway, Trump is really emphasizing the importance of the Slaughter decision at the Supreme Court. It allows him to fire/hire the heads of independent agencies. Power of the bureaucracy has now shifted dramatically in favor of POTUS. Trump is now allowed to cleanse any deep state tentacles that were embedded on our regulatory agencies. Trump now has control over who oversees these agencies and can install loyalists. Not only that, this ruling solidifies Article 2 and established precedent for other similar cases. The Supreme Court just solidified that the executive holds the ultimate authority. This can come in handy later. In conclusion, massive victory for Trump and MAGA. The swamp is being drained, just like you said. Just like you said.
I don't understand. I said people aren't seeing the entire game, the field, everything that's happening on the field. They're looking right here. It's almost like when you go see a football game, if you've never seen one in person, it looks a little bit different than on television. And so on fourth down, the guy's going to punt. And when you see it on television, you just see everybody running downfield because the camera doesn't go up and look at the ball. And so when you're watching it, it in real life, you're like, damn, that ball's way up in the air. And you're seeing all the stuff happen down here, but you're not seeing what's happening up there. And to me, it's very similar. You're taking your eye off of things, whether you're looking up here or looking down here, you're not seeing the entire picture. And
I agree.
I think a lot of people have gotten accustomed to that. That's the other thing. I think they're used to it being spoon-fed to them, and people, I don't know who coined the word. I think it was Morton Downey Jr., pablum, when people are just feeding you stuff, but you feed like a bird, and they don't want to see or take the time to do all the work. So, when you're talking about what clandestine put here, I don't know the person, but I can tell you that they're doing what you're doing at this point. They're putting information out, and then you start gathering it yourself and looking at it. And other people sit back and go, no, it's not like that. Okay, can I talk to you about it? No, because you don't have anything to offer at all. So
when I see these subjects, immediately you're like, whoa, right? And then you have to kind of like step back, absorb all the words, and then I go and I grok and I look at other people on X. Some of them I'm no longer like Benny. He's clickbaiting a lot there.
They expect their audiences and people just to accept what they say, turn it off, and I've got my fill. And I try to say, don't believe me. Go look yourself. Did you see this executive order? Go read it yourself. Did you? Coincidence? You're telling me 3 days before the Supreme Court rules, she just happened to remember, and the timing of it, March 30th or whatever, when he signed it, and she just signed her injunction 3 days before the court rules.
Yeah, there are no coincidences. I truly believe that.
And I think we're going to find out in the future when something comes at her, we'll hear about it. So you got something here from. Oh, that's the same one, explosion.
Yeah, those are all the same. That's all I have at the moment. Everything is still, there's a lot of chatter about what Trump spoke about earlier, so it's just repeating the same thing.
Is this OST in Defender? Oh, yeah.
That was the same story.
Different story. Same story. All right. Yeah. I'll be back to you in a couple of minutes. Okay. I got more on this Supreme Court stuff for you guys to take a listen to.
And the Supreme Court out with another decision, this time regarding the fate of certain migrants living with temporary protected status. There are a bunch of them, and Shannon Bream joins us again with more. Shannon, how do we read this one?
Okay, so Dana, we read it as a win for the Trump administration, which has wanted to wipe out temporary protected status for more than 1 million people who are living here in this country. These cases centered on a number of Haitian and Syrian refugees who were here in the country. And basically what the court has said is that they can't challenge this decision by the Department of Homeland Security, by the administration, that they're the ones who get to make the assessment about whether they leave or not. I haven't read the whole thing, but they do get into some of the claims that by some of those who are advocating for the Haitian refugees, that there was some kind of racial animus. The court says they don't see evidence of that. So I'll keep reading, but it's another very fractured decision that seems to be a win for the Trump administration, which would be the second win for them on immigration. That earlier decision that we talked about that came out just a few minutes ago saying that if you get to the Mexico border, but you don't make it onto U.S. soil, you can't file an asylum claim. So the Trump administration has to be happy about what they've gotten today. We've still got 8 opinions left.
All right, so put that together with what happened today. Obviously, that happened a couple days ago, but already it's out the news. You got some of the, we're going to show you some of the stuff about the Haitians. People are freaking out. But as the important thing she said that is absolutely true, it's not reviewable. There's nothing they can do about it. Game over. They can have every meeting and protest they want. There's nothing that can be done about it. Oh, there's one thing. The only one thing is the same thing with the mail-in voting and the same thing with the Save America Act. Congress would have to do something. They're not going to do it. Or at least they haven't shown us they're going to do it as of yet. So everything that the courts are doing at this point, that one is unreviewable. That you can't turn it back. No, you're not in the country till you're in the country, which is, can't believe you had to go to Supreme Court for that. And number two, you can all got to get the heck out of here. So everybody can scream all they want. Every single newspaper, doesn't matter. It's not going to change unless Congress changes it, and Congress can't even change their bed sheets.
Looks like Monday will be our next opinion day.
Some breaking news. U.S. Supreme Court, a decision is now in on a challenge led by Republicans to late arriving ballots in elections. Shannon Bream has the ruling. She's got the news and the headline now from the U.S. Supreme Court. Shannon.
All right, guys, this is not a win for Republicans who were challenging this. Mississippi has a state law which allows ballots to be counted, mail-in ballots after Election Day. If they come in, they're postmarked and meet the state requirements. But is
all right, see, she said a whole lot in that one sentence. Okay, they have to be postmarked, legally postmarked. We're not talking about the ballot stuffing. We're talking about ballots that actually went into the mail. And so I don't think enough people are focusing on that. That is specifically a lever that can get these Democrats in trouble if they try to mess with the postmarking.
a 5-4 loss for Republicans, and an interesting cobbling together of who wrote on this. Justice Barrett wrote the opinion. Justice Roberts joined her along with Justices Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson. So those five stuck together on this. The dissent comes from Justice Alito. Thomas Gorsuch and Kavanaugh join him. And essentially what the majority said is that these federal statutes setting Election Day don't prescribe, or they don't stand in conflict with states that want to say, okay, we have a procedure to count ballots after Election Day. Justice Alito, writing for the dissent, says today's decision is inconsistent with the terms of the Election Day statutes, contemporary election law principles, 2 centuries of historical practice, and the case law on the question presented. So if you're a state out there that counts ballots after Election Day based on your state law, that state law will stand. We wait on.
All right. The gentleman who gave SV that message that said I was wrong, that means I was right. Election Day as I know it means Election Day. Election Day as you know it means Election Day. But if you happen to live in one of these states where they redefine the term Election Day, then Election Day for them means as long as it's here, we'll count it up to like 2 weeks later. That's it. That is the law of that specific state. The federal government can't overturn it. Just like they can't overturn the Haitian thing, the federal government can't overturn what California is doing. California has to do that. The people in that state have to say, no, we don't want these votes being counted 2 weeks late. I, in Florida, don't have any say with what California is doing. The only thing we do have say, or per se say, is that to make sure that those ballots that come in are legitimate. And that's where the Postal Service is going to come in, because if they aren't postmarked or they have an illegitimate postmark, then they can't be counted at any time. Will that make a difference? I'm not sure.
More opinions now, guys. More to come.
That had to do with a case by the name of a woman, Rebecca Slaughter. And the question was whether or not the president had the power to take independent federal agencies, the heads of those agencies, off of their job without cause. You know, Professor, it sounds like there's a bit of a contradiction the way I'm reading it. Go ahead and clarify it. Lisa Cook can keep her job, but others like Rebecca Slaughter cannot.
Well, at issue in this case, obviously I've not read the opinion since it just came out, but at issue in the case was a rather old and established precedent called Humphrey's Executor. And in that decision, the Supreme Court said that Congress could create a type of hybrid creature within the executive branch, could create a commission that the president cannot dictate who are members of, can remove those members. It barred that. It said that, in fact, Congress could create one that insulated the members from a sitting president. That has always been controversial because many scholars and many judges have said, look, you don't see any of that in the Constitution. There's no hybrid animals. There's no legislative branch, an executive branch, a judicial branch. So if they ruled against Slaughter and in favor of the administration, that would be a significant increase in executive power.
See, that's what they're all pissed off about. It's funny that it's like the meat that people love to drool on is the mail-in thing, but that's a state-by-state basis. It was that's going to be as much of a long shot as tomorrow's birthright citizenship. I'm not expecting the birthright citizenship to pass, or for us to win. Who knows? Maybe we get lucky. But in any event, this Slaughter decision, I'd like you to focus on it because it's something that nobody ever thought it would be overturned. It's been in effect for 90 years, all these bureaucrats. It is specifically the deep state.
And in combination with the immigration cases that were just handed down, it would be a particularly good week or so for the administration. This was a bit of a surprise we just saw in that Election Day decision. That was 5-4. It was a real Burma shave. But it came out against the GOP. This one would be actually very welcome news, even if Humphrey's executor were to survive for the administration.
It looks like Humphrey's executor is overruled, but let's get to Shannon Bream. She's been taking a look at this, and you have in particular, Shannon, you're looking at the FTC case, which seems to have been a win for the Trump administration.
Yes, it says to discharge the duties of his trust from the majority opinion, the president must have the assistance of officers he can trust. So this is this idea of him wanting people that will agree with the agenda that he has as the executive. It says it's up to the Senate to decide whether to confirm those with whom the president would prefer to work, but neither Congress nor the courts may saddle him with those with whom he cannot work. And remember, this FTC commissioner, basically the message he sent to her was, you don't line up with the administration and my agenda and what I'm going to do. And he is, as the head of the executive branch, over.
Now, when I heard her say that led me to believe when President Trump is speaking on something, he's laying the groundwork for how he's going to do it. Hey, we don't line up. You're not following my agenda. You got to go. And here we are months later. That's exactly what the Supreme Court said. If you don't line up with the executive's agenda, he can tell you to go pound sand. It's up to him. And it's funny that if you look at President Trump on Truth Social today, he had I think it was maybe one post on the mail-in ballots. He posted 3 or 4 times about Slaughter. Let me show them to you. This was the first one about Slaughter. It was at 10:51. Big win just moments ago at the Supreme Court in the Slaughter case, confirming presidential power in our country to remove executive branch officers and agency appointees or representatives under Article 2 of the Constitution. The decision was long sought by United States presidents dating all the way back to the 1930s, and they couldn't get it done. He got it done. It is such an honor to be the sitting president who won this historic and unprecedented ruling, one of the most important ever given with respect to presidential powers. He followed that up at, let's see what time, 2:40. So it's still on his mind. Today's historic Slaughter decision by the Supreme Court is the greatest increase in presidential power in the last 100 years. Such a monumental ruling at such an important time, President Donald J. Trump, and that was at 2:40 p.m. So obviously it meant a lot to him. And then earlier he was talking about Lisa Cook, And he said this: the Cook lawsuit having to do with her suitability and sitting on the board was sent back by the Supreme Court. This is important because everybody in the news, everyone in the media said he can't fire Lisa Cook, and that's not at all what they said. Read what he says here. It was sent back by the Supreme Court, quote, on a strictly procedural basis. Doesn't say you can't fire her. Something happened in a process that didn't set well, and they kicked it back. They didn't say that you can't fire people in the Federal Reserve. They said you didn't do it right. So he says here, we will take the appropriate action immediately. That means like very soon, to make sure that someone who has committed wrongdoing will not be making vital decisions concerning the welfare of the United States of America. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Couple that with the post that Bill Pulte put up saying she's going to get indicted. She's going to jail. He's the DNI right now while Tulsi Gabbard isn't there. And President Trump said we're going to be taking steps immediately. You see how this movie just keeps going to the next scene? It's not over. Okay, you tell me, I got to do something different. It's a procedural issue. Did you hear that in the news today, or did they just say he can't do it? Were people just saying you can't fire Lisa Cook, or did they say, oh, she's in big trouble, they just got to change the way they did it? Because the truth is, she's not safe. They are coming for her, and they had to change the procedural route in which they do it. The nuance of things can give you so much more clarity.
A lot of these executive agencies in thought. So the question gets to whether or not this applies to different agencies. We know in the Cook decision, which was about a federal governor on the board, that was a situation in which they want the Fed to have its own independence. They think that's critical. Oh, here we have it. Thank you very much, Andrew. So we have the Cook decision. But I will tell you, in the Slaughter decision, we have a dissent from Justice Sotomayor where she says this. She says the court discards a democratic regime in favor of one that distorts the structure of government to fit the majority's theory of unitary total executive control. The president emerges with far greater power than before.
You see, if I was a Democrat, that would scare me more than the mail-in stuff, because everybody is now acknowledging he's got way more power. Now, I'm not going to give you any opinion on what I'm going to show you right now. I'm just going to show you something. After today's ruling, this occurred. It's only 90 seconds, but I want you to watch it and pay attention and tell me, let's look in the comments what you think about this. What was the message that was being made here?
Justice Thomas, can we ask who you were meeting with today?
What'd you say?
Can we ask who you were meeting with this afternoon?
What'd you say?
Who were you meeting with this afternoon?
Oh, nobody.
You weren't meeting with the speaker, you were in.
Oh, God, no.
So what are you doing up here?
Oh, just walking.
No meetings in particular?
I'm going to tell you about.
Tomorrow's going to be a big day at the court, huh? Final day of decisions?
Oh, I guess so.
You want to give us a sneak peek of some of the decisions?
Nope.
But you can't tell us why you're up here today, who you're meeting with? Who are you meeting with, sir? Were you up here for any particular reason? No info on who you may have been meeting with? Anyone in House GOP leadership? That's who has offices in there. Any matters you were up here discussing? Any comment on today's decisions and the end of the Supreme Court term?
You have good questions.
And any comment on the end of the term?
You have good questions.
You want to answer any of them? Any comment at all? Thank you, sir.
No words. I'm showing that without any context whatsoever, as somebody followed Clarence Thomas, Supreme Court Justice, who happened to be in the GOP area of the House having a walk. That's what he said. I'm just having a walk. I'm out for a walk today. And if you believe that, yeah, I got some land to sell you. One of the preeminent Supreme Court justices, after everything happened today, just decided, you know what, I'm going to take a walk across Washington, and I'm going to go into the GOP area, and I'm going to go walking down the halls and then turn around and leave. Nothing happened. No, nothing. And he just smiled. Anybody would be lying if they told you what the hell happened. But at least now you see it, and it probably made you just go, wait a second. I don't know where this movie is going at this point. I can't make any heads or tails of it. And I loved when he turned at her. You ask good questions. What the hell does that mean? You ask good questions. Man, I don't know who that reporter was, but that video is like everywhere. And it's got everybody scratching their heads wondering, what in the hell's going on? Which is the point of what I've been trying to tell you. Don't get freaked out. Don't get pissed. Something's going on. There are so many different levers being pulled, and we don't know anything about it. All we can do is seriously get popcorn and watch the damn show. Woosah, woosah. We just got to chill. I don't even look at it as a loss today because I don't know where things are going. In a football analogy, today was a loss, you could say, as President Trump said, a tremendous loss. But obviously, if you know anything about sports, doesn't mean the season's over. It's not a wasted season. We got a whole bunch more games to play. We can come back and avenge this loss. And I love seeing Clarence Thomas walk through. Whew, I don't even know what he meant. You saw that. What was your idea as to what the hell was going on there?
I love how the prostitutes ask him the same question 15,000 times, expecting, a different answer. Oh my goodness.
So go ahead. What's your little crystal ball? What do you see in there?
I don't know.
I know.
He's not giving anything away. Nope. It's like when they asked Trump, "What are you going to do to Iran?" Well, am I going to tell you, morons?
I'm glad you brought that up because that is indicative of everything happening right now. Am I going to tell you? You have no idea what's happening next. You don't know if I'm going to bomb somebody. You don't know. You have no idea. Sit back, make sure you got a heavy supply of popcorn because they're all like that. I mean, I've never seen so many people walking around with like they just ate the catbird. Yeah. It's crazy. And okay, here's something else that happened today. I personally know Ashley Moody. I know Ashley Moody because she was also the attorney general here in Florida. I used to work for her brother a long time ago in the marketing world. And so I know her. She is not a flake. She's not bad. And so today, or was it yesterday, she had the gavel for the performance sessions for Senate. The performance sessions are the ones that they gavel in and gavel out so that supposedly President Trump can't make any recess appointments. And people were trashing her. I can't believe she turned her back on Trump. No effing way. As soon as I saw her do that, I'm like, there's something happening we don't know. She wouldn't do it. I don't know many of the people there personally. I know she wouldn't be doing that. So take that with what
I'm going to keep an eye on that story.
Yeah.
I just sent you a 1 minute 50-second video from Breaking. It's good old Jeffries talking about the mail-in ballots. Oh God.
Oh, every time, it's funny. Every time you say his name, I just crack up.
I know because you know it's going to be all total bull crap. But he does the hands.
Wait a minute, who's it from?
Breaking the last one at the bottom. Breaking 911. The very very bottom. There you
all
go.
right, hold on. Let me see if I can download it pretty quick because I'm sure it's good. I'm sure it's great comedic relief.
It's always good content, because the maximum warfare everywhere. All the time.
It's funny. I'm gonna have to play it, but then adjust the sound because whoever does his sound is completely awful. I mean, they send out videos that people can't even hear. Hold on, let me bring it in
All right.
and then I'll turn it up as I get it in here. All right.
Sure.
Okay, here we go.
Two questions.
Well, in the narrowly concluded 5-4 decision, the Supreme Court did the right thing with respect to preserving each state's ability, consistent with the United States Constitution, to manage the electoral process relative to voting by mail. Voting by mail has never been a partisan issue until Donald Trump decided to peddle conspiracy theories related to his own failures to win back in 2020. And it's clear to me that because Donald Trump has been such a failure relative to his presidency, Donald Trump promised to lower costs on day one. Costs haven't gone down, costs have gone up. Because of Trump policies like the tariffs that have increased costs on everyday Americans by thousands of dollars per year. Donald Trump promised to love and cherish Medicaid, and then as a result of the one big ugly bill, enacted the largest cut to
And there's more tequila in this old town than pines in Tennessee. I ain't the man I thought I'd be. And these neon lights that keep me up got me thinking maybe mom and dad had it right all along. We too.
Is this thing on? I think it's on. Okay. Yeah, it's Thunder 30 here in South Florida, so we just had a momentary lapse of lightning. Let me see if SB is connected. Are you there?
Yes, sir. I am here. I'm
All
always
right.
connected.
I'm just sitting here talking and blip. Oh, actually, it wasn't me. It was Hakeem. It was his fault.
Yeah,
So,
you were stuck on to me. He was doing like this with the hands.
I think I got it. Hold on. Let's finish him up.
All right.
Because of Trump policies like the tariffs that have increased costs on everyday Americans by thousands of dollars per year. Donald Trump promised to love and cherish Medicaid, and then as a result of the one big ugly bill, enacted the largest cut to Medicaid in American history. Donald Trump promised that he wasn't in office to start wars, he was in office to stop them. And then he turned around and got the country involved in a reckless and costly war of choice in Iran, which has increased gas prices on everyday Americans in ways that are causing real financial pain. He has zero track record of success, which is why Donald Trump has decided that they're going to try to cheat to win. And the Supreme Court dealt a big blow to Donald Trump's scheme to rig the midterm election.
Hey, Barry, hold on a minute. So wait a minute. Am I getting it right? So the Democrats like the Supreme Court again? Make it make sense, bro.
I posted that earlier too. It cracked me up. But
holy crap.
One of the things I really want to hone in on based on what he said when he says Trump has cut Medicaid so much. If I was there, I was like, Mr. Jeffries, who did he cut it against? Come on.
Perfect.
It's the people who aren't supposed to be here. All the fraud. They never talk about fraud. It's like fraud doesn't exist. It's crazy.
He's just pissed off because they got caught. That's the same old rhetoric, man. I just thought you would get a kick out of it. It's always great listening to Tamu Jeffries. I'm gonna get it down. I'm gonna get his voice down. I'm gonna definitely do him like I do, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Get down the chopper. Do it now. Do it now.
He should be easier because he talks in a cadence like this. Like, spit it out, man. What are you doing?
Smack him in the back of the head.
Oh gosh. All right, let me jump in here and finish it off. We're gonna have some fun with this. All right, you ready?
Okay, talk to you soon.
This is gonna be good.
No man should ever enter where we are going. Beware what lurks in the depths of the libtard zone.
Number 10.
Hundreds of thousands of families who followed the law, passed multiple criminal background checks, earned work permits, and paid taxes.
Stop! hundreds of thousands of people who follow the law, except the one where they're not supposed to be here. They've been sitting here for 15 or 20 years on a temporary protected status. So no, you're already wrong. You're wrong within the first couple seconds, Debbie.
Be torn apart, thrown in ICE jails, or sent back to a nation overrun by criminal gangs who murder and kidnap at will. Haitian American children, U.S. citizens, will be orphaned, detained in horrific conditions, or deported alongside their parents to imminent danger.
Then they won't be orphaned. You can't have it both ways. If they're going to get deported with mom and dad, then they're not orphaned. And I doubt they're going to be orphaned because I doubt mom and dad are going to say, hey, little, Joe, you got to stay here. We're going to head back to Haiti.
Americans will pay even higher prices for groceries, health care, housing, and child care.
I'm sorry to cut her off so many times. American families are going to pay more for everything because people from Haiti and Syria got to go home. That's just the opposite. If 300,000 people are eating and living and working at jobs, let's take it each one. Jobs, 300,000 people. Now Americans will have jobs. Housing? Wow, you mean all these vacant houses? Supply and demand. Hey, all of a sudden we got all these extra houses. It's going to go down. Food. Hey, there's less people buying this stuff, so our prices are going to go down. How is it going to go up? Crazy.
Number 9.
And I mean, Haiti is so, it's the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, but it's, a country can be poor economically and rich in culture and rich in the strength of the people and rich in so many different ways. And Haiti is in that way among the richest of countries I've ever been to. I mean, the Haitian.
One of the things these people forget is the internet is forever. So Anderson Cooper is on with the redhead dude, Conan O'Brien, and they're talking about how great a place Haiti is. Well, you just told me everyone's going to get murdered. Oh, it's so rich in culture. It's fantastic.
People are incredibly strong, carry themselves with such dignity, and for generations, have had governments which have not paid attention to them, which have stolen from them, and yet, whatever adversity they have faced, they face it head on. And as I said, when you meet them, Haitians look you in the eye, they slap your hand hard when you shake it, and I think you're going to have an unforgettable experience. I've gone back.
So he's telling him Conan's getting ready to go down there on vacation, and Anderson Cooper's telling him you're going to have an unbelievable experience. It's going to be fantastic. You're going to see some of the nicest people. So how could it be both ways? How could it be warlords and death and some of the nicest people you ever want to meet? Where were you staying? What was it you were eating? Probably not cats and dogs, huh?
A lot, obviously. We were the first team on the ground after the earthquake, and I go back on vacation. I go there for weekends. I mean, it's an amazing place. It's an incredible place.
I go back there on weekends. It's an incredible place. It's incredible. Okay, then what are we talking about? What are we having a problem with? Somebody somewhere is lying. If President Trump said it was an asshole and you're saying it's an incredible place, well, now all of a sudden, because they have to go back, President Trump was right.
Number 8.
Now things are looking much brighter as they've been welcomed into Lisa Hillenbrand's Brookline apartment. She wakes up in the morning, she says, "Hi, Lisa," and everyone starts the day smiling.
It's a delight, and it's really fun having them. What I realized is there's so much prejudice against refugees, mostly because people don't know them.
Lisa,
everybody should have one. You should have your own Haitian. It's amazing. And we brought her in, and she cooks our food and takes the garbage out and refreshes everything. And you don't have one? Oh my gosh! How can you not have your own Haitian?
Says she feels like she has her own personal chef, as Wildande loves cooking. In the meantime, they're enjoying their time with Lisa, their new friend for life.
They're hardworking, they want to learn, they want to be successful, and I feel great helping, and I get to understand the refugee crisis from the inside.
I don't know what they put in the water to liberal white women. But this woman, allowed them to come into her home with television cameras. And they let her say this stuff as if this was, everybody deserves their own little Haitian. Oh, it's been fantastic. She cooks our food. She washes our dishes. Oh, so you brought your Haitian in to be a maid. My gosh, they don't even understand what they're saying.
Side.
Number 7.
Concentrate on the election that just happened. Because how big is the movement? When you talk about the turnout, how big was the turnout? Help us understand how big this movement is for this last election.
It's so important to understand. If you're looking at these congressional districts, for example, the district in Upper Manhattan and the Bronx, this is a district that has 500,000 registered voters.
How many people voted?
Only 70,000 folks voted in this.
That's not a movement unless you're calling it a bowel movement. Well, we had 600,000 people here in this district. How many of them voted? 50,000? Hey, man, the math ain't mathing. That's not a movement. That's a bunch of apathetic, lazy people who let it happen. But understand, but they count on that. They do all kinds of research to make sure we can find some district where most of the people are fat and happy and aren't going to come out and vote.
Election that will essentially determine who goes to Congress. And of those 70,000...
Is that a movement, Ryan? If you have that many people and only that small amount voted, is that a movement?
Well, here's the thing. If you have a small, disciplined, organized minority that really knows what it wants and is able to apply that energy and those resources, that small, organized minority can seize the larger brand. And that's what we're seeing here.
That's what you have to work out, really worry about. That's what they're focusing on. He just gave it away. If we find these little pockets where people are eating well and living well and they won't come out to vote, we can take over. And so when people say, what can you do? Make sure if you find out one of these people are running in your backyard, you tell everybody, hey, forget the cookout, get your butts down to the office there and vote, because they're counting on you being happy and watching the football game and eating dinner and going out on a boat. Meanwhile, they found 6% of people who were going to vote for them. That is their MO. You now know what they're going to do. You understand how they're going to do it. So there can be nobody who can wake up on a Tuesday or whatever, Wednesday, moving forward and be surprised that a socialist won, providing they're in your district, of course. I found out there's one running here, not in Boca, but in the next town over. I can't vote, but what I can do is tell everybody, look at what's getting ready to happen. He'll win with like 5,000 votes, because the rest of you are like, what? It's nice out. It's summertime. I went to the beach. What do you mean? What am I worried about? Too late. You got a socialist. That's how it's going to happen.
Number 6.
Yes, I'm here to ask the Congresswoman a question. Who read a press conference?
It's your information.
They're telling her not to talk to me. But
oh, no. If you like to talk to her, we can, I can get your information, then you can.
I love this woman. When we were up in Washington, Ashley and I, and she was at the booth directly next to us. And she's got a guy that works with her. She's on Mike Lindell's network, and she follows these people around. Him and the guy with the camera, they will run around and find these people. Now, I want you to pay attention here, because she's trying to get to be able to talk to Maxine Waters. And as she's trying to talk to Maxine Waters here, look at this woman and tell me you think she has her faculties about her. She looks like a walking corpse. She doesn't know where she is. She doesn't know what she's doing. And why is it that you can't? Even Clarence Thomas, he didn't answer, but at least he turned and looked and spoke to the woman. Watch Maxine Waters here.
Set up an appointment.
Hi, Congresswoman.
We'll be more than happy to talk to you guys if you like to.
Yeah, I want to ask her since she's right here.
If you want, I can take your information.
Congresswoman,
what's happening today? Oh, what's your stuff?
why are you guys telling her not to talk to me? I'm a credentialed member of the press. She just needs to step down. One step. Congresswoman, you just said that President Trump's refusal to sign the housing bill is putting America last. But isn't securing American elections the definition of America first? What could be more important than securing American elections? We're going this way, Congressman. We're going this way. 80% of Americans want the Save America Act passed. And
she has no clue where she is. None. We're going to go this way, Congress. Okay. I got this Lhasa Apso on my head. Okay, where am I going next? She has no idea. Those people who are pushing her away, they're the ones who are controlling things in the background. They're the ones who are typing up documents. They're the ones who are writing up scripts. She's got no idea what the hell she's doing there.
that includes Democrats as well. Democrats and Republicans both support securing elections. Is that not a priority for Democrats?
And like I said, if you guys would like to set up an appointment, we'll be happy to take the information.
Okay, well, it's just really disappointing when the Congresswoman's right here and she's being instructed not to speak with me.
That is insane. She just looked like a Robotron. Just like, I don't, let me fix my hair. She had no clue where she is. That piece that she just did there was probably better than her asking the questions. You got to see full on that this member of Congress is, she has no clue. These are the people who are making the rules right now. Actually, it's the people who are ushering her back and forth.
Number 5.
If it does that, then is it not necessary for there to be, for equal protection purposes, if that is?
All right, this is Judge Alito on the Supreme Court asking a liberal hack about this whole, boys playing girls sports. And this was just going to make you put your head down. You're like, none of it makes sense. None of it.
Challenged under the Equal Protection Clause. An understanding of what it means to be a boy or a girl or a man or a woman.
Yes, Your Honor.
And what is that definition for equal protection purposes? What does it mean to be a boy or a girl or a man or a woman?
Sorry, I misunderstood your question. I think that the underlying enactment, whatever it was, the policy, the law, we'd have to have an understanding of how the state or the government was just understanding that term to figure out whether or not someone was excluded. We do not have a definition for the court, and we don't take.
Okay, you went to law school. Your parents are so proud of you that you get to argue at the Supreme Court. And one of the esteemed Supreme Court justices says to you, what's a boy or girl? And you look back at the Supreme Court after mom and dad put you through college, after you've become law school, and you tell a Supreme Court judge, I don't have an answer for you. This is clown time. I don't have an answer for you. Whether what a boy is or what a girl is. This has to stop.
Issue with we're not disputing the definition here. What we're saying is that the way it applies in practice is to exclude birth sex males categorically from women's teams, and that there's a subset of those birth sex males where it doesn't make sense to do so according to the state's own interest.
Well, how can a court determine whether there's discrimination on the basis of sex without knowing what sex means?
I'm sorry. I don't know what you're asking me to make a ruling on if you can't tell me what one or the other is. Honey, help me out. Work with me. You're asking me to make a ruling about gender and sex without being able to define which one is which. We are definitely in a clown world.
For equal protection purposes.
I think here we just know that we basically know that that they've identified pursuant to their own statute, Lindsay qualifies as a birth sex male, and she's being excluded categorically from the women's teams as the statute. So we're taking the statute's definitions as we find them, and we don't dispute them.
That, I believe, is going to be ruled tomorrow. I think we're going to find out tomorrow whether or not boys can play girls' sports. And that's the definition. She chose to be a boy, or he chose to be a girl. That's what we're using right now.
4.
Congressman, before I let you go real quick, you've advocated for expanding the court from 9 to 13 seats. Is that now a conversation that is happening inside the caucus?
Absolutely. It is absolutely. I mean, look, we need a Supreme Court that is not beholden to corporate interests, to any president, but is actually willing to interpret the law and not reinterpret it and revisit settled decisions. And this court has shown.
We want them to interpret without reinterpreting. How do I interpret without reinterpreting? If I interpret, that means I have an opinion as to whether or not Barry's wearing a white shirt. You're telling me the judge can't look at the shirt and have an interpretation that differs from the interpretation you want. You can interpret, but don't make a new reinterpretation.
Over and over again, that it is incapable of doing that. We need to expand the court. We need term limits, and we need an ethics and transparency standard.
I wonder how she's feeling today. I wonder if she says to her day, you know what? We got a decision today. Everything's good, right? No, they never going to relax. They're going to keep going as far as they possibly can. They're evil.
Number 3.
It's time for a national billionaires tax and a new social contract. Think about this. Just 10% of people in this country own 2/3 of the wealth. A 30-year-old, for the first time in American history, is not doing better than his or her parents. That's a 5-alarm fire.
For who? I'm not a billionaire, full disclosure, but I would never say that other people can't achieve. You're basically, as the governor of one of the biggest states, waving a white flag and saying these people cannot achieve. For the first time in history, a 30-year-old isn't doing as well as their parents. Well, that doesn't bode very well for many people in California. If right now people in California, their kids have not achieved anything, and the only way you possibly can is to steal it from other people. Notice what he said, though. He said he wants a national billionaires tax because he vetoed the California billionaires tax. Yeah, I don't want it on my back. Let's put it on the entire country. If I put it in California only, everybody's going to leave. So let's make it a national billionaires tax. Wow, dude.
American wages have stood still, and the costs across the spectrum, cost of living, have skyrocketed. The system is fundamentally broken. The federal tax code, the corporate tax code, and the inheritance tax code seem to be written for
inheritance tax code. See, they don't want even people to inherit. Democrats feel your family doesn't deserve what you worked for. I'm getting texts from Ashley. She and the family are in Mexico on vacation right now. And she's like, wish she were here and taking pictures and, show me all this kind of stuff. And she's not supposed to enjoy herself. If I bust my butt and I work and keep pushing and Robin and or Ashley or my grandson enjoy life from that, that's wrong. She's privileged. Robin's privileged. I guarantee you Robin ain't saying she's privileged. You don't know what people had to go through to get to a position they are. And then when they get to the position they are, you say, you know what, we're going to take it from you. Why? Because this dude in the slums needs what you have. No, the only reason we work, only reason that you worked so hard is to get your family to a position where when you're no longer here, you're like, here's what I did, and you guys carry forth. Inheritance tax? Wow.
Different set of Americans. It's time for an economic reset, a true minimum tax on billionaires that, ensures the people at the very top pay at least the tax rate their own workers pay. We also should end this tax-free lifestyle loan. This is the gimmick that allows the ultra-wealthy to borrow against their stock portfolios.
All right, stop. So if you don't like the tax code, then you can tell the do-nothing Congress to change the tax code. But you never will, and they never will, because it benefits you. There are so many things I've imparted onto Ashley where she's looked at me and go, you can do that? I'm like, yeah, you can do that. You can do this and this and this. Yeah, you can do this and this. Even on this show, I've told many people, hey, did you know you can do this and do that? Completely legal. They're not loopholes. They're legal. When they say loopholes, they try to make you feel like you're doing something untoward. Oh, I hope I don't get caught. No, it's there for the taking. That's not a loophole. That's the law. If you buy stock and want to have no salary and you want to take a loan against your stock, that's completely legal. These people posture as if people are doing things illegally. But here's what I got to tell you. He has given himself away right here because the things he's talking about have nothing to do with you being a billionaire. Not whatsoever. Anybody can take advantage of the things he just said. You can leave an inheritance. If it's $1, you can leave an inheritance. If you want to buy stock and leverage it, you can do it. If you want to give your child a gift, you can do it. But that should tell you what they're going, where they're heading with all this stuff. It has nothing to do with being a billionaire. I'm sure down in the fine print, they're going to try a different way to take what's yours. But they won't be able to because they won't be able to do it to themselves. And so I encourage you to understand and learn as much about the tax code as you possibly can.
Reporting no taxable income. We also have to rewrite those inheritance rules so that the largest intergenerational wealth transfer in human history, estimated by, be $124 trillion that will be changing hands, doesn't lock in a permanent American aristocracy of inheritance.
You're hearing this, right? We need to change the rules. We need to reset and make sure people who want to have worked their asses off, who have produced, can't give it to their family, because if they give it to their own family, then what they've done is just created a permanent loop where other people stay poor. I don't mean this in a bad way, but so it's mine. It's yours. And he's saying it's not fair that you've worked so hard to get what you have and then leave it to somebody else. And that's not fair. Well, who am I supposed to leave it to? The government? Who are you supposed to leave it to? This is insidious. I don't care how much he smiles.
Wealth. Time.
Number 2.
I'll confess something to y'all. Clinton was a lawyer in Arkansas. Grew up poor, relatively broke. How the hell him and the Clinton Foundation is worth hundreds of millions of dollars beats me.
Be careful, Stevie. Be careful. You might take 2 to the back of the head. You're going after Hillary. How did she become rich? We all know. They all do it. It was Mel Brooks's birthday yesterday, I think. Hey, they all do it. If you know the movie, you know what I'm talking about. What the hell, Stevie? You're questioning things. You shouldn't be going here. You're going to piss off these Democrats.
Barack Obama was a community organizer who became the president of the United States. And last time I checked, that salary ain't over $450,000, if I remember correctly. I got to double check that. How the hell you depart from office? You worth over $200 million?
I know a lot of you don't like him. There's a lot of things he says I don't like. This here needs to get out. More people, more black people, more Hispanic people need to start asking these questions. Like, wait a second, this ain't mathing. How in the hell do you have $300 gazillion and we know what your paycheck was? It doesn't work. And we're only talking 8 years. Some people have been working for 20, 30 years, and you spend 8 years making $400,000 a year, which is what the president makes or so. It doesn't math out. More people need to start questioning this. How did you get so damn rich? Funny. You don't hear Gavin Newsom asking about this.
It's amazing to me how these politicians go into office and you're sworn to serve the American people. It's called service, but somehow, some way, they always depart exponentially richer than when they arrived. And how no matter how hard we try, we can't get rid of lobbyists on Capitol Hill because the lobbyists are the ones funneling money into their pockets. We were born at night, not last night.
Oh, you're going to get two in the back of the head. You're going to take a ride. They're going to take you off the pier. Don't go fishing with somebody. Somebody says, hey, Steve, you want to go fishing? You don't know them? Better say no. Definitely don't go fishing in some lake in Arkansas at this point. No, You're not allowed to point fingers at these people. You're not allowed to question. You don't have that cachet. You ain't got that kind of cred. And you're questioning Obama and Hillary, where they got their money from? I have to applaud him because you have to think to yourself, is anybody else anywhere in the media ever asking these questions? No, you're not allowed to. Gavin talks about a billionaire tax. Everybody wants to take Elon's money. Nobody raises their hand and says, hey, how much money Pelosi have? How much money Hillary have? Dan Goldman, Ro Khanna. It's always those people, and their fingers never point back to them. Obamas are loaded. And they're out there saying the same thing. We got to find a way to get these white rich people. What about you? Nobody in any meeting, not even on Fox, nobody asked those questions.
We know what the hell is going on. But having said all of that, it is what it is.
Number one.
All right. So I think number one, hold on, let me just check here, just make sure. All right. So if you don't know what the definition of hypocrisy is, you are about to learn the definition of hypocrisy. At the same time, I applaud him because he's so open with it that it's brazen. It is absolutely incredulous what you're going to hear from this so-called socialist commie.
Do I own 3 residences? Yeah, I do. I live here in Burlington, Vermont. We live in a middle class.
Wait, hold on. I own 3 residences. 3. Wait a minute. I heard from Mondami and these other idiots, the ones that you're flying around with, that there is no such thing as private property. All right, I got 3 houses. Okay.
They would. Nice house. Guess what? I'm a United States Senator, and I own a home in Washington, D.C., as do most senators. You live there year after year. When I first when I was in Congress for 16 years, I rented all the time. But I got elected. Okay, got a 6-year term. You know what? Let's buy a house. So we bought a house. And guess what? Like many thousands of people in the state of Vermont, I have a summer camp. It's a nice one.
I don't care what the other people have. I'm not concerned what the other people in Vermont have. They haven't come out and said that we need to take all your money. They haven't come out and said that capitalism is wrong. I applaud you that behind the scenes, you are a huge capitalist. The problem I'm having is you're phony. You're an absolute hypocrite. Somebody caught him today and they posted this. It said, nothing screams true socialist like a millionaire who owns 3 houses, arrives in a huge SUV to his private jet to fly out and give a paid speech on the evils of capitalism. What's wrong with that picture? Bernie gets out of a private SUV, getting ready to get on a private plane to go give a speech about the ills of capitalism. You really can't make this up. The entire thing is made to be pablum for frickin' morons. How do they even look themselves in the mirror? You're pretty stupid. But listen to what he says right here. This is going to take the cake.
On Lake Champlain. That's it. Now, how did I get the money? You're right. I wrote 2 best-selling books, including this book on capitalism. It was New York Times.
I wrote 2 best-selling books on capital. I'm basically against capitalism, but I got paid for the books that I wrote and sold that were anti-capitalist in nature, which allowed me to buy 3 houses and one of them's a summer home. I sell books. I make money, and money's really bad. And I'm thinking, have none of these idiots ever seen this? It's too much.
Bestseller for a while. And also another book was a youth book. And I make, I don't know, $175,000 a year. And that's more or less how I became the zillionaire that I am.
He's laughing at you. Maybe not you. He's laughing at these idiots, these complete morons that think socialism is the way and capitalism is bad. And that couldn't be a bigger example of what's good for you, it ain't good for me. I got to make my money. I got to sell my books. He forgot one. Oh, yeah, I got a kid's book. Yeah, I got a kid's book, too. Yeah, I got a kid's book. I do $175,000 as a senator, and I got 3 houses, and I sell books about how capitalism is bad. That right there just tells you everything you know about how evil, disgusting, and fraudulent the entire socialism movement is. It's fake. But there's so many stupid people. I'm saying it, absolutely stupid people who are buying into this. Hook, line, and sinker. They are living and dying on the breaths that AOC and Bernie say and not realizing he's laughing at them and playing a huge joke on them. He's getting on his plane and he's headed out to his private jet. What happened to global warming, climate change? What about anti-capitalist? That's a big-ass SUV. I bet you that gets a lot of gas. We're being played. We are absolutely being played by a number of people. And that's why earlier I said, don't listen to what you see and get freaked out. There are still so many moves left on the board. There's more scenes coming up. We're not even at intermission. You understand that? We are not even at intermission yet. President Trump still has over 2 years. How can we possibly be freaking out right now? Well, I don't know. Some people are. I got one more extra one. I got a bonus one for you.
She attended a pro-Palestinian rally in Times Square the day after the Hamas attacked Israel. She said she was worried about an outsized reaction that cost thousands of people their lives. She has not backed away from attending that rally. She deleted a Twitter account that had a number of posts that called for the abolishment of police and prisons. According to CNN in 2021, this is what there's a reference to. She posted, "A world without borders, just like a world without prisons or police, is possible and necessary and the only moral way forward." She's again has said those posts don't reflect who she is today. You do not speak for her. You speak for yourself. And I know she's tried to distance herself. She's probably under a greater level of scrutiny she's ever been in her life. But does any of that give you pause?
Okay, before she answers that, every single person on the right has to answer to every single thing they did all the way back to high school. Remember, Brett Kavanaugh had to explain himself and his actions at a keg party in high school. They had an entire hearing and brought in some chick and said, yeah, he groped me when? In high school. Where? At a keg party. What? Is that the standard we use? Where if somebody comes in where nobody else could, corroborate what she said, she comes in and she's in tears because 30 years ago, she got groped at a keg party that nobody could remember seeing her at. But you made a big deal. It was on every television. You were trying to destroy this guy because some lady said that back when they were in high school, he did some things. And now you're telling us, last year she tweeted some stuff about, really bad stuff. You're like, that was before. And you got Nazis up in Maine going, I did all that stuff before. How long ago? Like last year. Which standard are we using? You see, they're euphemizing everything, but even that's not as bad. None of that is as bad as the answer that she comes out with.
I think that, as you said, she has indicated that she has regret over the way that she issued those statements. And I genuinely believe that the gravity and the responsibility of this role has a way of inhabiting you. And
feel free to interpolate and interpret or reinterpret what the hell she just said. I'm lost. I don't know what she said.
I genuinely believe that we have to give people the opportunity to occupy their beliefs within the gravity of becoming a duly elected member of Congress.
I'm going to play that 6 seconds back because I got to believe Jen Psaki, who is obviously used to be a press secretary, if she was honest about herself, she was like, Alexandria, I don't know what the hell you just said. You want to try that again?
Opportunity to occupy their beliefs within the gravity of becoming a duly elected member of Congress.
You heard it twice. Doesn't make sense either time. You have to occupy the gravity. What? And they're saying that she could be a leading candidate for 2028. God help us. Somebody pull the plug on this. Get rid of these people. They're complete abject morons. She puts on some makeup, she looks good, smiles, and says absolutely nothing. This is where we are at this point? Yes, because the Democrats don't care. They don't matter what you've done. They don't matter who you are. Just win and let us get back in power. We just need you to vote to do what the deep state tells you. Yeah. You don't have to spell. We don't care. It's absolutely crazy. All right, let me check in and see if is that SB still here? Why you why?
Wilbur!
I played it twice, and I'm sure you heard it twice, and neither
one.
Yeah. Like, what the hell? I don't even know what you just said.
Barry, what was the number of percentage that I said to you several times that I think percentage of the people in America are dumb?
Over 50, I think you said.
Okay. Yeah, I revised it to 65%.
You reinterpreted it, or did you
Yes. I had discernment, man. I figured it out.
You had to oh my gosh. I mean, this is the one that got me. I don't know how there's a single socialist out there who doesn't see this picture and go, there's something wrong here, man. There's something really, really wrong.
Those damn oligarchs, we're going to get them. Yes, we are.
I sell books on how not to make any money. I'm like, what?
I mean, anybody with a functioning frontal lobe is going to go, well, wait a minute, you're selling books, you're making money. That's capitalism. No, but people are so deluded by TDS, it doesn't matter. It's like the words in a dog. It goes in one ear and it goes, and it comes out and they go.
Their platform is on not having personal property. He's got 3 houses and one of them is a lake house.
Isn't that awesome? I'm glad he's doing well, though. You know, I don't know how much time he's got left.
You know what's funny? All these people that are being elected now as socialists, they're about to make 175 grand. Are you accepting that?
Yeah,
that would be a question. Are you taking the $175,000 that comes with your office? Love to hear that answer.
To the poor children in Nigeria, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
you should just take
people.
like $20,000 to live on back in a shack someplace and donate the other $150. Let's facilitate that. Let's make that happen.
Yeah, because New York City, you're getting everything for free too. I mean, you got that $30 million grocery store. Never mind. Hey, I sent you a couple things. So I think we have like a Sopranos movie coming out there with that bombing. So at the bottom is the first one at the very bottom, if you want to bring that up. So the minister of the Monaco state of Monaco said that the explosion was likely an attack, that the device was equipped with bolts and other materials for maximum damage. So interesting enough, the next story above, which has not been confirmed, but, you know, let's see what it says here.
That's very interesting because who would be bombing something in Monaco, huh?
Look at this guy. Doesn't he look like some guy from The Sopranos? Okay, so it's not confirmed, but you know, sometimes I feel something too. You know, sometimes it's a gut feeling. Early reports indicate that Ukrainian businessman Vadim Ermolov, who was sanctioned earlier in the ongoing Russian-Ukrainian war for his ties to Russia through his business in occupied Crimea, may have been the target of the bombing in Monaco earlier.
So,
but look at him now. Hey, wise guy.
So are they saying Zelensky tried to take him out?
That hasn't, like I said, this is still an unconfirmed story, but you know, a lot of times these stuff pans out, especially, you know, this is not people, you know, were initially commenting, oh, it's the, you know, the illegals again, but they don't put bombs with nails and stuff. This was a little more sophisticated, you know, with a backpack.
Especially not in Monaco, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
they would stand out. Don't you think they would stand out, like running to the front of that?
Yeah. Unless they're running to get in Ferraris or something, or they're sitting at a baccarat table with all their fraudulent earnings. But other than that,
maybe he was a valet. He was a valet driver. I don't know. No, the picture they showed was very, was very hard to see, so you couldn't tell. But I thought this was kind of interesting. This is like Sopranos a little bit, you know, a little movie unfolding in front of us. A very interesting story.
There's all kinds of movies unfolding in front of us. They just don't stop. Oh my goodness! You got anything else?
No, that's all I have for now.
I guess President Trump's been relatively quiet since then. He talked about
he posted something about the reflecting pool over an hour ago, saying that they opened it back up. Also warning them that if you do anything to it, you're going to go to prison for 10 years. So hopefully some of the people, I'd love to see a couple actually try to do something, because see them in cuffs.
That would be interesting. All right, man. Thank you.
All right, have a great evening.
I love that interview with Jason. I hope you guys follow him, because that's very
good.
That was just disgusting. So tomorrow we should have a big day. Tomorrow is going to be the last day of the Supreme Court. And so we're going to hear about birthright citizenship. We're going to hear about boys and girls sports and everything. So that should be tomorrow. I'm not expecting a winner. I would love to be pleasantly surprised and we get the birthright citizenship. What do you got?
So, by the way, remember I told you about that poker tournament? So I watched the World Series of Poker. They had the ladies event that finished up last night, and in the one of the contestants the name was Aubrey Williams. It turns out it's a dude that tried to become a woman. And I'm telling you, I was watching the chat. They were banning people left and right who were calling it out. There were so many comments, but fortunately, Lady Luck showed its mercy, and the woman Chen won the top prize, and he came in second. But next year, there's probably 10 or 20 of them in there. I mean, that was big news. I mean, the World Series of Poker is definitely taking a lot of heat from this. Yeah. They're trying to quickly memory hole it, but you know, I don't know if
that's not an athletic event per se. So I don't know how they could. I don't even know how they would do anything.
So this women's event, it only cost, the buy-in was only $1,000 if you were a woman. If you were a man, it would be $10,000. So he got in paying even less to get in, right? And they were advocating how he, if he didn't get back into poker, like he almost lost all his money, he just came out and told his parents how he came out. But like they glamorized his story, and I don't know. I didn't say anything because I would. I know they're in poker. They're in Congress.
Oh,
I mean, I haven't heard anything from that. Was it the congressman in? Was it Delaware? What's the name of that one?
McBride.
McBride. Yeah, that's been pretty quiet lately. But anyway, that's all I have for you guys.
Thank you very much. All right, everybody. We'll figure out tomorrow. Show we should have a lot of stuff to talk about because with everything happening. So let me go ahead and bring on the super chats here. Lele, thank you for all you do for your community. Thank you very much. Chiosouth, the mail-in ballots are not coming from the mail. In the 2020 election, there were ballots with no creases. They are thrown in and called mail-in. See, that's where the difference is at this point. Those ballots that they're completely fraudulent, that's a whole different aspect of things. California Dems created laws to make everything they do that's illegal legal. That's how they're getting away with everything. Yep, they voted it in. Cutting edge. Like down here. Let me just give you a little anecdote. Down here, we have something called the Castle Doctrine. And the Castle Doctrine is if I'm sitting here and somebody kicked in the front door, I could reach down and blow them away. I don't have to try and run. I don't have to wait until they get close. If you come through that door and I didn't invite you in, I can make you a lead sandwich. People have complained about it. People have bitched. They tried to get it overturned, but they're not Florida. Florida's law is if you break in someplace, you don't have to retreat. And that's like a perfect example to let people know state laws are bigger than federal laws. We have our own. The Democrats tried to take away the Castle Doctrine. In fact, I've mentioned many times about the sheriff. You can look on YouTube and listen to some of the videos by Sheriff Grady Judd, and he'll tell you, don't do that here. You'll be graveyard dead. And they mean it. They absolutely mean it. And so what you don't have here, at least, well, maybe in the hood, but outside the hood, here's one thing that happens down here. Everybody has to assume everybody else is packing. That takes on a whole different atmosphere when you realize, should I kick in this door? Well, what are the chances that they might have something on the other side? High, very high. Cutting edge, the largest pillar of the deep state has been demolished. Absolutely. Oops, excuse me. I was going past your screen name. Hello, everyone. Hello. Sherry Bertrand, God bless America, President Trump, Barry Mods, and all the beautiful patriots in the chat. Thank you very much. Pekoski, late again. That's okay. You're here. Last time in Marseille, 1969. Thanks, Pekoski. Macon Blankenship, whatever happened, you bring the most informed content. We appreciate all you do. Thank you very much. I try to give you guys an idea as to what we're actually seeing and different information you can look up. You might not like it, you may disagree, but I'm going to give you information. Megan, my daughter's excited about being able to learn how to mow her own yard. Where'd that go? Where'd that go? Let me bring, okay, mow her own yard. And it's the funniest thing to watch. I remember when I had to start learning how to cut my own grass as a kid. And then I realized I can get paid for it. And I was like, I can do this with other people's houses. Mariah, thank you to Barry. We have an inkling of where we are going. It is incredible how much it's really going on. So much. And most of this time, they don't cover it. Nobody covered that executive order. I would love to know in the chat, had you heard about that executive order? I mean, SV might still be here. He can archive it, but did you know about the executive order? Michelle, Barry, I agree with you. And like you often wonder, how can people like Bernie even look at themselves in the mirror? They must have broken mirrors. They must have mirrors where, they They're all broken. It's insane. All right, thanks everybody. I will see you tomorrow. Sorry about the lightning, but we got through it. Thank you very much.